The European Union has approved Ukraine's next spending envelope of €6.1 billion for defence procurement as part of the bloc's €90 billion loan programme, the EU executive announced on Monday. The approval comes as Ukraine marks 35 years of independence amid a rise in civilian deaths from Russian attacks due to Kyiv's shortage of air defense systems. According to a statement by the European Commission, the defense funding aims to supply Kyiv with air and missile defense systems, missiles, ammunition, and radars. The funding also comes as EU leaders participated in key meetings in Kyiv on Monday, including the Coalition of the Willing meeting, aimed at drumming up additional air support and energy supplies for Ukraine as it edges closer to winter. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and First Lady Olena Zelenska honored the memory of fallen soldiers on Monday as the country marked their Independence Day. Zelensky and his wife laid flowers at the Wall of Remembrance, a memorial to Ukraine's fallen defenders, alongside other European leaders as part of the official celebration. No delegates from the Trump administration were present at the ceremony marking the Independence Day as Russia pushes on with its more than 4-year-old invasion of the country.
On Saturday, Iceland will vote on whether to resume negotiations on joining the European Union. A yes vote would restart negotiations in Brussels, while a no vote would be a setback for the EU's enlargement drive. Iceland previously applied to join the bloc in 2009 following a financial crisis, but these negotiations were eventually suspended after a Eurosceptic coalition came into power in 2013. By then, Iceland's economy had largely recovered, and public support for joining the bloc also faded, with fisheries being a main point of contention. However, a reversal came in 2024 when a pro-EU coalition government took office. Since then, major geopolitical developments reshaped the international landscape, such as US President Donald Trump threatening to seize Greenland and the Arctic becoming a hot spot for rare earth minerals. This made a deeper cooperation with the EU a key variable in safeguarding Iceland. Opinion polls suggest the results are expected to be very close, with farming and fishing remaining among the most contentious issues.
After several unfortunate incidents in previous years, tourists visiting Greece this summer appear to be better informed about the dangers of ultraviolet radiation and the health risks associated with excessive sun exposure. In central Athens, increasing numbers of visitors can be seen sightseeing under the protection of hats and sunglasses, while some are even carrying umbrellas.
I travel with a hat, and this umbrella also is UV protection. So it's all UV protection.
Red Cross volunteers who assist visitors during heat waves confirm that tourists are arriving better prepared.
People tend to use more hats and other protective methods such as sunscreen and sunglasses compared to the past. Because I think they're more educated now about the UV radiation and how the sunlight and sun exposure can affect the skin and the aging of the skin and skin cancer.
Last summer was the third hottest on record in Greece, yet the extreme heat did little to deter tourists, with the country welcoming a record 38 million visitors.
6 EU countries are intensifying calls for a bloc-wide windfall tax on oil companies as profits surge amid the war in the Middle East. Finance ministers from Germany, Italy, Austria, Poland and Portugal, along with Spain's economy minister, urged Ireland to put the issue on the agenda for next month's meeting of EU finance chiefs in Dublin. The ministers called for an EU-wide framework to tax windfall profits, drawing on the temporary levy introduced in 2022 after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Beyond the proposal, Germany's finance minister Lars Klingbeil said that excessive crisis profits should be returned to consumers. Energy companies have posted major earnings as the war disrupted shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. However, the EU has not yet signaled plans for a new levy. The letter remains a preliminary draft while political divisions persist within member states, including Germany.
New Zealand's Prime Minister proposed a law banning under-16s from using social media. Prime Minister Christopher Luxon said platforms such as Instagram and TikTok would be required to verify users' age.
We would never knowingly let our children wander into places in the real world we know to be unsafe. We put boundaries around cars, around alcohol, around gambling, because we know children aren't yet equipped for them. And yet online we've left them almost completely unprotected.
Meta could be fined up to 10% of their global revenue if they fail to comply.
This is a generational shift. We are the first generation of parents raising children in a fully digital world. There is no rule book for this, but we know enough to act.
It is unclear whether the bill will pass due to opposition from two of the three parties in the coalition government. Australia banned children from social media in December. The UK, France and others followed.
A landslide at a waste site in Guinea early on Sunday has killed 30 people and injured several others. Heavy rain caused a mound of rubbish to collapse, burying nearby tents and shacks and destroying several homes.
Première partie qui s'est écoulée, les gens ont essayé un peu de venir au secours. Est-ce qu'il n'y a pas de gens en bas? Est-ce qu'il n'y a pas de gens en bas? C'est ainsi que les gens sont venus en courant. Et quand ils sont venus en courant, ils sont montés sur les ordi pour voir s'il y a personne. C'est ainsi maintenant la deuxième partie a cédé en 3 temps, en cascade. Et c'est ça qui s'est déversé sur les personnes maintenant.
The waste site had been designated for closure on that same Sunday. Days prior to the incident, the government had given residents living nearby eviction notices. According to local residents, they'd been asking for the closure of the dump for months.
Nous, la jeunesse d'Aslam, on a tout fait pour éviter cela. Donc, mais ça n'a pas empêché que cet événement ait lieu. Parce qu'on a organisé des sittings, on a organisé des sacrifices. On a invité les responsables des départements concernés, mais ils n'ont pas pris la chose au sérieux. Donc du coup, ce qui a fait aujourd'hui cet éboulement, moi j'accuse l'État. Parce qu'ils n'ont pas pris des mesures pour que la décharge soit fermée. Pourtant, ils nous avaient promis. Depuis ça fait 1 an.
A search and rescue operation was launched to try and find survivors.
The Red Cross voiced alarm after 6 workers taking part in a bid to contain the deadly Ebola outbreak were harmed in attacks last week in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. In a statement, the organization said that attacks against volunteers and humanitarian personnel are unacceptable. Last week, the World Health Organization warned these assaults affect the Ebola response.
Yesterday, one of our ambulances was attacked here. One of the ambulance of the response operation was attacked here, in Guinea. And we are really extremely, very regularly challenged by this situation, by this attack on healthcare services.
Since the Ebola outbreak was declared mid-May, 12 volunteers have been injured, ambulances have been damaged, and equipment has been destroyed during 11 violent incidents. The Red Cross said tensions have emerged with local communities over the handling of Ebola victims' remains. Burials must be supervised as corpses remain contagious. In eastern Congo, youth caravans raise awareness for Ebola amid the attacks on health workers.
Sur terrain, lorsque les équipes de la riposte arrivent pour faire leur travail, il y a la jeunesse qui les attaque pour qu'ils ne puissent pas faire bien leur travail. Alors cette activité est organisée pour montrer à ces jeunes-là que la maladie existe réellement et nous devons tous unir nos efforts pour que cette maladie puisse être éradiquée.
More than 2,500 deaths from above 5,300 confirmed cases of Ebola have been registered in the DRC, according to the WHO.
The industry uses upward of 70 highly toxic chemicals in the dyeing process. Over 30 of them are irretrievable, meaning no matter what you do to the water after you use them, they stay in the water, so they'll end up in the ocean. using petrochemicals for things that nature can provide, and that's a mistake. Color is one of the worst things to make out of petrochemicals because nature makes every color in the world. Rivers still run clean, and we should do the same thing with how we put color into things. Rather than extract color from nature, we borrow the information of how the pigment or dye stuff is made in nature. We put that code of how to make the color into a bacteria, very similar to how you make beer, but instead of alcohol, we're brewing the color. On polycotton, we're seeing upward of 77% savings in water, 51% savings in energy, and 31% savings in emission by doing things biologically. Natural does not mean non-toxic. So we test every single product that we make, and we test it way beyond the standard that the synthetic dyes get tested, ensuring that there's no harm to human health or the environment. It's helped really highlight our solution to the problem and bring more awareness to brands and manufacturers. We've had outreach from all over the world following the exposure.